Okay guys, little video tour of your brew house. 15 barrel indirect fire with roughly 20 barrel ton. It's just an oversized 15, but you could do 20. We'll start at the hot liquor. There's the hot liquor pump, and when you're heating hot liquor or just trying to even out temperature, you're going to have that pump running and recirculating into the tank in that valve. When you're ready to fill your ton, you will close that valve and water will go up and into the water mixing assembly, and I'll show you that in a second. That line right there is CIP, heat exchanger, single stage. If you want, you can upgrade this to a 2-stage. It's just some parts. And the aeration assembly right there, that will actually sit on the floor with hose to it. It's got a thermometer, oxygenation stone, sight glass, etc. Manifold. The manifold is a swing arm style, which means the center port is your pump out. So it will be pumping out of that port into wherever you decide to swing it to. So in this case, we're set up for whirlpool, and the jumper is going from the kettle to pump in. So you're draining from the kettle, it's going to the pump in, out of there to your whirlpool. And if you want to change that, all you need to do is swing this arm over to, let's say, the chiller, your heat exchanger. There's also a couple extras here. If you want to add something later, you can do that. Blank tag. If you're draining from your ton and you are simply running off and sparging, what you're going to do is remove this jumper, and pump in will go to the bottom of your grant over here. And then the upper port on the grant will go to this one, the lauter ton. So you're draining from here into the grant, and then to the pump, and then Vorloff or transfer over to kettle or whatever you need. So that jumper is only there as a one-purpose thing, and that's when you're going from the kettle to the pump. Other than that, you just will have it removed or swung downwards so it's out of the way. The raking system in the mash lauter ton is two-directional. So in one direction, this one, you're raking, and the grain will lift over this, and the rakes will keep everything, nice and loose in there. And if you reverse the direction, this is the plow face. So it'll be spinning that way, and you'll actually be pushing grain out of the manway. You just put your bin down under here, and it'll go out. There still will be an inch or something like that of residual grain, in which case you'll have to remove that manually, and there's the hoe over there for that. Just one of the small details at the end there. The grant is also hot back. As you can see, it's got the perforated false bottom with a gasket, and if it's used as a hot back, you're going to come in here and you're going to want the swing arm to the side. That way it gives a whirlpool effect and the hops keep moving. If it's pointing straight down, you're not going to get full use of your hops, so just keep that in mind. And it's a pretty big grant. It's about a barrel, so as a grant it's huge. As a hot back, it's great. So kettle drain, obviously, large discharge, 3-inch, so that you don't have to try to get it all out of an 1.5-inch port. A lot of people don't do that. I don't know why, but we do. And 1.5 inch over to the manifold. Sight tube coming off of that. In this case, temperature control panel. So your kettle, once you turn on the e-stop and allow power to the controllers, you just turn your kettle on and that will fire your burner. So if you don't have any liquid in there, do not turn it on. You need to have 15 inches of liquid in there in order to start the kettle. And the ton you can turn that on at any point. Hot liquor obviously will control the boiler in the back, and I'll show you that in a second. Pump VFDs. The upper one is the hot liquor pump, and the lower one is for the pump behind the manifold down there. And basically all you have to do is just hook up some plugs and plug it in the wall. And the same goes for the brew house control panel. It's already got a plug on it. That's just 110 power. The VFD up here is for the mixer. Now that one is going to have to be wired in by an electrician. You will have power to the VFD, and then from the VFD a cord going over to the mixer motor. There's a program in there to change it to multi-direction that will have to be done. It's simple. It's P112, and you can see that in the manual that comes with it. Here we have the mash hydrator, and your grist case or auger will be hooked up right there. Water mixing assembly with thermometers. So this one is sparge, this one is mash hydration, and your hot liquor is coming in from over there. The hot liquor open, you're going to hook cold water to the red handled valve, and then you have your flow meter, and you're going to use that initially to calibrate all your sight tubes. It has full batch setting and GPM setting, and I believe they have a memory. The mixer motor, these are really solid XP motors, so as long as they're hooked up right, they're explosion proof, and you have no issue with grain in the air or the other worries about fire. Never heard of it actually happening, but we like to stay on the safe side. And the mixer shaft goes through to the steady bearing at the bottom with all the toys attached to it. The V-wire false bottom is a 6-piece. They go in one direction and one direction only, so you will have to have them placed exactly the same as far as which order they go in every time. They're not reversible, and there will be numbers stamped on them as a guide to be able to put it together the same every time. The kettle, we have a 10-inch vent, ID, so your ventilation guy will need to hook up a stainless steel ventilation duct. Do not use aluminum or galvanized. It will just rot out and you'll be in bad shape. That is for if you ever want to add a foam detection alarm or shut off. That port is available. That is for top up water. No other reason. You can use it as you wish, cap it off, whatever you want to do, but I recommend hooking up cold water to that in case you want to fill your kettle for some reason with cold water. The tube coming off here needs a rubber tube to come off of it, which goes to the floor. That's the condensate and drip tube. It will catch the condensate coming down the stack in the ring and then expel it out there. If you don't put a tube on it, you're going to have a lot of dirty, ugly stuff coming down the side of your kettle. So make sure you do that. Only lift by the lifting ears. Do not lift from the bottom of the kettle. The ton can be lifted from the bottom as long as you go under the leg bracing. Same with the hot liquor tank. On the back side of the ton, that is the Vorloff line right there. So that's how the piping goes on that. You can see a temperature sensor wire going right there. That is the whirlpool and temperature sensor. I will go down there and show you the rest. Here's your glycol unit. Adjustable temperature output so that you can set your fermenter or bright tank temperature point to wherever you want, instead of just being stuck with 28 or just being stuck with 42. You can put it wherever you want, and I recommend keeping it a little on the higher side so you don't shock your yeast. 28 degrees is a little low, and yeasts tend to drop out of suspension if they get shocked, so you can get a stuck fermentation. This side must be clear of anything. You must have open space in front of it, at least a few feet bare minimum. It will vent out the top, which I'm almost certain that you can hook up ventilation if you wanted to go out of the building, though it's not made to be that way.